Late Age Marignon, Conquerors of the Sea. Marignon is a feudal theocracy that rose out of the ashes of Ermor. Through religious austerity and fanaticism, the young kingdom prevailed when death walked the land. When kingdom after kingdom crumbled under the might of the Ashen Empire, the leaders of Marignon turned to desperate measures. The Grand Masters of the House of Fiery Justice struck a bargain with infernal forces. Devils started to fill the ranks of the human armies, and with time, Marignon became dependent on the devils to survive. Devils and the holy knights of the chalice were all that kept death at bay. In a cataclysmic battle, the knights fought a great army of walking dead. Both armies were annihilated, but the new Ermorian legions would soon re-emerge from the Ashen Realm. The Grand Masters called their infernal lords, and a host of demons was released upon Eldergate. The Holy Chalice was captured and brought to the House of Fiery Justice. Ermor was destroyed, but the infernal lords demanded continued sacrifice, and devil worship became part of the faith. Imps are bound as jesters and servants, and most noble families have their own imp familiar. Order has returned to the kingdom, and Marignon is slowly turning its interests outwards. Recent developments in shipbuilding and navigation have allowed the priests and nobles of Marignon to expand the influence of God to distant shores. To bring the true faith to the heathens has become more important than hunting heretics at home. Witch hunters have been replaced by navigators and chart makers who serve under the command of admirals to spread the might of the kingdom to distant shores. Marignon is a nation that has definitely carried over some elements from their Middle Age version, but has also evolved quite a decent bit, and luckily in pretty good ways. For national features, we are humans that have ocean sailing, and we can trace income across oceans. For our military, we are full of heavy infantry, crossbows, and we still have our flagellants hanging on. Magic-wise, we're pretty good at fire, blood, glamour, astral, and we have a little bit of earth, air, a little bit less of water and nature. Our priests are powerful, we can do Holy 3 recruits, and we still have some inquisitors, and we have picked up blood sacrifices, so a lot of opportunity here for maybe some Dominion play. We have a special Dominion feature called Inquisition. It automatically reduces enemy Dominion and spreads our own Dominion up to 1 in an owned province. So normally you need candles to push against enemy candles to push them out. If we own a piece of territory with enemy candles on it, automatically that will start to dwindle away and we will generate up to 1 candle in that province. That's with no temple checks, no candle spread, none of that involved in it. So that is pretty powerful, especially when you're often conquering outside of your own dominion. Mainly because for me, the AI just has so much money, it spams temples everywhere. For scales and blesses, we get an extra order limit, productivity limit, and we get 3 bless points. I don't know if this nation even really needs that. I mean, it's nice and all, but I feel it's a little odd on some nations that get the bonus bless points, whereas maybe others could use it more. For buildings, we get standard forts of the era. That means we build citadels, and we have architects who have the Grand Mason trait, allowing them to build grand citadels, the best fortifications in the game. Quite good. So as you can see here, nothing much bad to say about this. This is a pretty darn solid lineup of national features. For sites, we have 3. We have the Royal Academy. This allows us to get some cap-only leader and our architect, and a special mage. Gives us an Astral Pearl and a Air Gem. We have the House of Justice. Again, some cap onlys. We have multiple sacred units we can pick from. We also get the High Inquisitor and the Gothic Master. Gives us a Fire Gem and kills 25 undead. Finally, we have the Hall of Mirrors. This is new in Dom 6. I believe we traded out, I think it was an Astral Pearl for this. We got a Glamour Gem, a new mage called the Master of Mirrors, and a Glamour Mage may enter to scry range 3. Range 3 is often more than you may think. I wish this was 6, but range 3 is still nice. I'll allow you to just double check like a nearby throne, for example. It's in your cap circle. Definitely not a bad thing to have. Units and sacreds. We have a pretty decent lineup here. Starting us off is our weaker end. We have City Guard. This is, I guess, our equivalent of a militia. 8 gold, 10 resources, 5 recruitment points. Human stats. This is a not very well trained unit. Only 9 morale, only 8 attack. That's pretty rough. Their 1 trait is castle defense bonus. That gives them a decent chunk of extra siege defense, so they are as good at defending as most humans are at attacking. They are wielding a glaive. Length 3 gives you a chance to get some repels, although our absolutely miserable attack of 7 is not doing us any favors there. 50% chance of slashing or piercing for 22 damage. Armored in ring Conquerors and an iron cap. Overall, as far as militia units go, this actually isn't too terrible. I like to use these guys for a little bit of light patrolling. They also are okay as if it's just a cheap body for a bodyguard. As a main force in an army, I wouldn't use them unless I was just piling some into a castle to try to hold off a siege. Next up, we have the all-important crossbowman. We have a almost bog standard human crossbow here. Human stats, human normal training. He has a mace, which he's decent with. 10 attack at 16 blunt damage is nice. He has a standard crossbow, armored in the same ring Conquerors and iron cap. Not the cheapest. Cheaper crossbows are about 7 resources, but this is totally fine for a guaranteed crossbow access. We're happy to see this here. The protection's all right. It's fine. The price is right for this guy, I will say. Next, we have a pikeneer. Again, base human chassis, 10 gold, 20 resources, 9 recruitment points. Better morale, we're up to 11 here. We have a plate cuirass and an iron cap, so that's 14 on the body. We have a pike, which is a length 5, 10 attack, 17 piercing damage weapon. So this is good enough to fight on the line if you have to, especially if maybe we could give them the attack buff of +2. Well, really help out their chance to get repels. Very, very nice there. Next, we have halberdier. Halberdiers are a very damaging unit. Again, human stats, human training, has that same 11 morale. We also have the castle defense bonus here. 10 gold, 22 resources, 9 recruitment points. Halberds are nice weapons, although they have a -1 attack on them. So 9 attack is a little unfortunate, but 22 slashing or piercing damage is great. Again, getting the Battle Fury spell to give them that +2 attack would really help them out. Plate cuirass, iron cap, perfectly fine. Nice, cheap early game option that may be your front line. Next up, and my preferred front line in the early game, swordsman. 10 gold, 28 resources, 9 recruitment point. So again, noticing the pattern here, a lot of these troops we've looked at so far have been double or even triple resources compared to recruitment points. That's not going to hold all the way through, but just notice that there is a world here where we just get some extra production and we're happy enough with that. We are wielding a great sword here, and we like great swords. An extra attack, some extra defense. It's a length 2, hits for 21 slashing damage. I love it. Love to see it. Maybe for late age, this defense protection is a little on the low side, but it's okay. You know, especially if you're not getting crossbow fire into you. I especially appreciate the 11 attack compared to what we've looked at before with that low attack values. 11 is very nice, very juicy. Chop, chop. Get some work done here. Palace Guard is next. Palace Guard is an upgrade to the earlier halberdier, and you definitely pay for it. 20 gold, 27 resources, 31 recruitment points. Now we are I would almost call this like professionally trained soldier, 13 HP, 11 strength, 12 attack, 11 defense, wearing essentially the same gear, but we are just so much better trained. If you want a halberd and you want to hit things with it, this is your guy. He still has that castle defense. It's actually castle defense bonus 2. So now 1.6 siege defense. That's quite good, and hits like an absolute truck. Royal Guard. This is our upgraded swordsman. 20 gold, 33 resources, 31 recruitment points. Again, better than human stats and a decently better here. This is a human with 14 HP. Like, this dude's eating his Wheaties in the morning. I'm telling you, he's not magical or anything. He's just literally that good. 13 morale is nice. They are bodyguards, and they're pretty good bodyguards. They are wizards with these great swords. 13 attack, 24 slashing damage. That is very scary. That is very scary. We are now in full plate mill and have that iron cap. So protection is 21 on the body. Great attack, great damage. Love to see it. You do pay a premium for them. Flagellants make a return from the Middle Ages. These can be recruited outside forts as well. So you just need a temple to be able to pull these in. They are not quite full human stats, although they're a little strong. I guess they're just strong but dumb. Flails are good weapons. You get +2 attacks versus shield, and you have 2 attacks. So 3 of these in a square will give you 6 attacks, and while 9 for 16 blunt damage isn't stellar, do remember that harassment penalties is a thing, and you're going to be getting 6 attacks out of a square from these guys. So they can actually do pretty well for themselves. One thing of note here is they often spawn in with afflictions because they flagellate themselves. So just be aware of that if you care. Think about these guys as a possible recruit anywhere sacred when you're making your bless. Next up, I believe this is new in Dawn 6. We have the Deliverer of Justice, a cap-only sacred crossbow. Now, I do think he's over-armored. I don't love 14 armor plate cuirass. It's not good enough to save from other crossbows, and it's heavier than you would need against any other bow, generally speaking. He has a short sword that he has an 11 attack and 15 damage on, which is great. He can defend himself well against light flyers or flankers, and he has a crossbow, and he is very well trained. He has 12 precision normally, and then remember, crossbows give you +2 more. So 14 precision shots are pretty dang accurate. I won't go into it here, but every point of precision that you add is more valuable than the ones you had before, is a good way to think about it. Quite nice, very accurate. Sacred crossbows or sacred range units in general are pretty rare, so you could definitely do something here. We are a nation that does like to take a big bless, and I'll just specifically call out weapon blesses are nice because they work on just everything we have. So these are a unit that might be able to take advantage of that. Next up, we have the Hand of Justice. This is our second sacred cap-only unit. He is wearing that plate hauberk and an iron cap, wielding a halberd. Notice he's actually not as good with that halberd as other ones, but his big bonus is, of course, he is sacred. Castle defense bonus, patrol bonus, 19 gold, 27 resources, 21 recruitment points. It's a fine sacred. Ironically enough, less HP too. But being able to give them a bless, I mean, even just air shield to make sure that they can't get shot up by crossbows isn't terrible. They only have the 1 attack. It's a high quality attack, but they only have 1 attack. So just keep that in mind. I like these guys. I think they're very usable. If you prefer just to do something with the crossbows, I think that's fine. We have other troops who do the same role that this guy does as well, or maybe even better, depending on your bless. So perfectly fine, perfectly usable. I would say on the above average, at least, compared to a lot of other sacred. So pretty happy with that. Overall, I think this is a decent lineup. A little repetitive, it has a little TNG vibes here, but that's okay. There is enough differentiation, I think, between them. Maybe the halberds are a little crowded, but the other things are fine. We have crossbows. We have things that can kill very heavy infantry or very heavy cavalry. Our biggest weakness here is no shields. So we do not like incoming crossbow fire from the enemy. We would much prefer if they would just not do that. Thank you very much. Heroes, Commanders, and Prophet. For heroes, we have 3. We have the Cardinal. Interesting here, he's a Fire Astral Mage and a Holy 4. Note that he's also an Inquisitor, which doubles your priest levels when getting rid of enemy candles. So that would be a priest level 8 to wipe out enemy candles. Quite efficient at that. He is an old man. He starts as old and very old at that. So he probably will catch a disease and die, but such is as the things go in Dominion. So cool enough, usable. We have Heroine. This is kind of our Joan of Arc stand-in type character. She is sacred, inspirational, and a skilled writer. Good leader, in fact, probably the best leader on the nation between the 150 and the inspirational. Has a lance, has flyer plate, and a golden shield. Notice she's not wearing a helmet. Doesn't want to mess up her hair. Maybe you can convince her to put a helmet on just for, not taking that crossbow bolt to the head randomly. Other than that, cool unit, usable. Finally, we have the Witch Hunter General. This is a Fire 3, Astral 2, Priest level 2. Fire resistant. He is also an Inquisitor, has a big patrol bonus, is a combat caster, and a skilled rider. Overall, I do think this guy could be a cool thug. He's definitely going to need a little bit of gear here. He only has the fire plate, so a shield and a helmet would go a long ways. And his mount also has plate barding, so he's not too bad in that aspect, and both of which are sacred. Overall, nothing crazy here. They're cool, they're flavorful. That's what I like to see from heroes. All right, now the grand cast that is our commander lineup. This is huge. We have 3 lines when we get in game and do recruitment. Starting us off, we have the regular scout. He is the regular scout. Nice to have one that we're guaranteed to use. Nothing else to say. We have assassin and a decent assassin. He has a crossbow, a poison dagger, and a short bow. Also can sail. Kind of interesting for an assassin to be able to do that. He's very stealthy at 65. He's just an assassin 1 and has ambidextrous. Overall, these are actually fine. And ironically enough, one of the things that helps them out here in late age is there are a lot less provinces that have nature 1 mages to animate trees and kill your assassins. So these guys can actually do some decent work. I mean, yeah, heavy cav leaders are going to suck to fight, but beyond them, everything else is actually pretty good. I've had some luck doing like fire and keep distance, and I've also had better luck sometimes just on attack. I haven't really worked out exactly which target should have which, but overall, pretty darn good here. I was able to do some okay assassin expansion, 4 or 5 of them going province to province and just wiping things out. Do watch what you're targeting, but overall, I think that is at least an okay strategy. Nice to have that tool available too. I will also note, we have really wide pathing, so we can make lots and lots of gear. So if you do want to go like deep into like a couple assassins, definitely could do that. Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor is really interesting to me. He is 110 gold, 2 recruitment points. He is also not a cap only unit or anything. He has a 20% chance to get nature 1, wouldn't count on that. Has poison resistance 5, stealth 40. He's a Plague Doctor 4, so you can actually do a hidden action to cause plague. I'm not 100%, I believe that the 4 just means we give disease to 4 units. I'm not 100% sure about that. If that is how it works, preferably you would get a few of these guys over to someone's like castle that's just recruiting researchers and not armies. Interesting if nothing else. He's also a population spy. So when he's hiding, we get extra info, which is the population. Frankly, that's probably the worst information. We also get to know types of income as well as the PD. That's kind of nice there, I will say. He himself is a disease healer too, and he's 100% disease resistant. Cool. Very cool. Somebody running around with a super combatant, you could use these guys possibly to ensure that they get diseased, or thugs too, I suppose. So that's an interesting use case. Lieutenant. Now, we have several leaders here that are very disappointing because they're going to have 75 leadership. 75 leadership means they don't get formations. That really sucks. This is the age of crossbows. We really don't want to be standing around in a box formation. 55 gold, 9 resources, 1 recruitment point, get a broadsword, iron cap, and a ringmail cuirass. Also, not a sailor. Awkward. Next, we have the Imp Trainer. Very interesting unit here. 55 gold, 6 resources, 1 recruitment point. He's a human. He has 10 leadership and 10 undead leadership. Remember, undead leadership also lets you move devils around, demons around. Has a short bow and a crossbow. And he spawns in with 1d6 imp pets at the start of battle. I wasn't able to pull these guys up, but I do think that these are not the normal imps that you would see. I believe they only get like 1 dive bomb attack in combat, so they don't get to like continuously attack. That being said, 1d6 of these, let's say you had like 5 of them and you got 15 imps out at the beginning of combat, just like Falcon units, they're really annoying. They jump into the back line, just screw up your scripting. So I could see that. They have crossbows, so they could still fire from the back. I don't hate it. I think it's interesting. A little gimmicky, but they're cheap. Next, we have Captain. This is the first of our sailing leadership. 75 leadership sucks. 75 gold cost, 22 resources, 1 recruitment point. Has a falchion, which is still a good weapon. Iron cap and plate cuirass. Next, we have the Gothic Captain. This is a very similar guy. He has a 20% chance to get blood. He's a sailor. 90 gold, 22 resources, 2 recruitment points. Same gear. I'm not excited about that. Next, we have a Troubadour. This is a spy, and he has seduction and stealthy. Remember, seduction here is going to target the female unit, so you have to be after female mages to have good chances of getting that. 110 gold, 5 resources, 2 recruitment points. Has a broadsword and a leather cuirass. Hopefully you never have to use those, but probably will happen. Overall, nice to have a spy, nice to have a seduction, even if it's not terribly great. Missionary can be recruited outside of forts as well, so you're going to need just a temple. This is a priest 1, sacred, is a sailing priest. Too bad that he doesn't have stealth. That would be very interesting if he did. You could get Obscure on your Bless. I don't think that's worth it on this nation. So overall, he's a 75 gold priest level 1 with sailing. Next, we have Dibolist. These are Fire 1, Blood 1, 9 research for 72 gold a year. That's fine and efficient. 90 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment point. It's a fine researcher. Fire 1, Blood 1 lets you summon in imps if you wanted to do a little light blood stuff, a little bit of crafting too. Your entry-level blood hunters, it's fine. It's a perfectly usable mage. Next, we have the Mirror Mage. Mirror Mage is 90 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points. Is Glamour 1 and 100% chance to get Fire, Air, Earth, Astral. Overall, that's fine. Do remember you need to be a Glamour Mage to be able to use a Dreamstone research boost item. This is a perfect target for that. They also have a chance to get Air, so maybe you could make some Alquills. We have native Glamour and Air gems, so both of those things are pretty viable. Overall, yeah, he's totally fine. Chartmaker. Chartmaker is Astral 1 and 100% chance of getting Air, Water, or Earth. 95 gold, 2 resources, 2 recruitment points, has that 9 research for 76 gold a year, sufficient enough. Also can sail. That gives you a mage who can sail and keep up with your armies that are sailing. And Astral 1 guarantees, if nothing else, you can do some body ethereal. Our big two-handed troops that don't have shields sure would appreciate body ethereal if they're going to be getting shot by crossbows. Inquisitor. This is the remnants of the Inquisition. Priest level 2 and has a 100% chance to get Fire or Blood. Of course, has the Inquisition skill and has a really high patrol bonus. So one of these guys with a couple guys to help patrol could really help clear out any problems you're having from your blood hunting. They also could help just get rid of enemy candles. So overall, it's fine. 135 gold doesn't really break the bank. I like them. Next, we have Gothic Adept. This one has cost of 160 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points, Fire 1, Blood 1, and a 100% chance of Fire, Earth, Astral, Blood. So getting a little wide here. I don't love that. You have a chance for Fire 2 or Blood 2, though. That's kind of nice. 11 research, but our cost for upkeep goes up to 128. So we've lost the efficiency of the previous versions. Royal Navigator. This can be recruited in any coastal fort. Mage for 225 gold, 2 resources, 2 recruitment points. Comes in with Air 1, Water 1, Astral 1, and 100% chance of Air, Water, or Astral. So pretty nice. You're guaranteed to get 2 in a path. All of those are usable doubles, and because they're all guaranteed to have Astral, you could support a communion up to whatever you want. You could do big air like Storm or Arrow Guide. You could do bigger water like Falling Frosts or Quickness maybe, or we could do some bigger astral stuff. Either way, they're also sailing mages, which is appreciated. Not too bad, maybe a smidgen pricey, but it's okay. We could do Freezing Clouds maybe. I like them. You're definitely going to probably want a communion for these guys though. Next, we have the Architect. This is interesting. 75 gold, 52 resources, 1 recruitment point. He is a cap-only unit. Siege bonus of 25. Very, very nice. For 75 gold, you are not going to be recruiting enough troops to give you 25 siege bonus. So a group of like 4 of these is 100 siege power. That's 100 humans for just 300 gold. Also has the same for castle defense, same reasoning there. And has Mason. Mason's the ability that allows us to upgrade your infrastructure 1 level more than you normally can. This is what gives us Grand Citadels. Let's look at a Grand Citadel. So here is a Grand Citadel. So 70 admin, 2 commander bonus points, 150% recruitment, 10,000 supplies. That is pretty nice. It's rare that you starve people out in Dom 6, but it can start happening. Gets an Inquisitor, gets 75 halberds as their defense. Also gets a lieutenant and 80 crossbows up on the walls and 2,000 wall integrity. One of, if not the best defensive structure in the game. So very nice that we have that available. Do note, if somebody else was able to capture one of these, I do believe it would work for your enemy too. So don't let him be roaming around with any sketchy ladies. Admiral, another cap only. And unfortunately, the 100 leadership that we're really, really, really going to want. So you're probably going to have to pump some of these guys out of your capital. Luckily, they're not too expensive. 140 gold, 22 resources, 1 recruitment point. Is a sailor. Got 100 leadership, of course. Falchion, Iron Cap, Plate Cuirass. I like these guys a lot. I do tend to get shot with crossbows for some reason on these guys, so a shield would be really appreciated. Other than that, he's just our best leader. Master of Mirrors, another cap-only mage. This is a 175 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points. Comes in at Glamour 2. Glamour 2 is nice. And we have that 10% chance to get up to Glamour 3. And a 100% chance to get one of a Fire, Air, Earth, or Astral. Overall, we would certainly love it to be able to get to Glamour 3. That allows us to make the boosters. But even a Glamour 2 can do Twilight with 2 gems. So if you do decide you want to do that, note that like if you're doing a lot of blood summons, a lot of those have dark vision. So maybe Twilight doesn't hurt you very much. Or maybe you Twilight into Nightfall even, if that's the route you wanted to take. Royal Alchemist, and again, a cap-only unit. 225 gold, 1 resource, 2 recruitment points. Brings Fire 1, Earth 1, Astral 1, and the 100% chance of Fire, Air, Water, Earth, or Astral. He also is old. Not super old, but he is old. 13 research for 180 is not efficient. And he does, of course, have the Alchemist trait. That means when you use a ritual to make gold, you get 50% more gold than what you would normally get. I do like those. I do use alchemy from time to time. He can do both the fire and the earth ones if he had to. There also are some new spells in Dom 6. The Fire 2 Astral 1 and the Earth 2 Astral 1. He can cast both of those for you easy and natively. Just to keep that in mind when we look at those spells. Next, another cap only. This is the High Inquisitor. This is our recruitable Holy 3. He's 185 gold, 1 resource, 4 recruitment points. So he is slow even in our Grand Citadel with the 3 points. That being said, though, it is a recruitable Holy 3. We like that. Has a 100% chance to get either fire or blood. If you did get blood, maybe you could even make him young again. He's an Inquisitor. He has a patrol bonus. And of course, like I said, he is old. Overall, I don't love that these are old, expensive, slow to recruit cap only Holy 3s, but I do like that we have Holy 3s. So there you go. Usable, very nice to have. Good to get our blesses out easily onto our troops. And remember, we do have the Flagellant, so we may have a lot of things to bless, and we have Sacred Summons. So might be something pretty valuable for you. Ooh, finally, we have the Gothic Master, again, a cap-only unit. He's 370 gold, 1 resource, 4 recruitment points, Fire 2, Blood 2, Priest level 1, and a 100% chance of getting Fire, Earth, Astral, or Blood. So you get Fire 3 or Blood 3. Very nice there. He is also pretty old. Fine. He's slow to recruit, and he's not guaranteed to have Astral. So what are you going to do with this guy in combat? Yeah, I'm a little more sketchy on that. But overall, he's fine. Brings in some nice fire, blood, cross-pathing, which is useful for various crafts or summons that you might want to do. All right, we made it. Oh my goodness, that was so many units. I tried to go through that a little quicker than normal just because we had so many of those to do. Overall in the lineup, I think this is a little bit bloated, frankly. Do we need a Gothic captain? I'm not sure. Do we need a captain? I don't know. Maybe just keep the captain, get rid of the lieutenant. I don't know. That being said, though, the assassins are nice. We have guaranteed scouts. We have multiple spy options, seduction options, plague options. We have tons of sailors in here, tons of different mages, and most of them are relatively useful. I don't think we have any major stinkers. I do think you have to kind of pick the right mage for you, though. Look at your research, look at what you want to do, look at your crafting. Try to keep your research majors on those efficient ones for sure. Definitely think about some of these mages have requirements where you can get them. Like the Royal Navigator is only in coastal forts. And I think he's one of our better ones, frankly. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're expanding and thinking about which mages and which magic you want to go for. If nothing else, we have access to Astral and Blood, which is pretty darn good, especially the Blood in late age. As we've seen on streams recently, sometimes you just don't find any gems, just all game, despite how much you search. So Blood Slaves are air quote guaranteed, whereas finding gem sites are not. So a big bonus there, I would say. Also remember, we can do blood sacrifices. So getting some blood economy up and running also means that we have the option, at least, to do some blood sacking, which can be pretty darn powerful. National items and spells. As for national items, we don't technically have any national items, but we do have some items that have reduced cost. Imp Familiar, I believe, I want to say this goes down to 3. At least I thought it did. These could be all right. They're relatively cheap. They give +3 research, so we would take a 9 research Diabolist up to a 12 for just a few blood slaves. That plus an Alquil as an option could be something there. We can do a reduced cost on Soul Contract. However, I don't feel that this is worthwhile. Yes, you do get 1 devil per turn, but the return on investment here is like 20 turns or something. It's not good. I think these are a little overpriced at the moment. We also have Lifelong Protection. This is, again, we get a cost reduction here. Requires a blood level mage 2, 40 sacrifices. Gives you in battle 1 to 2 imps. Again, 40 blood slaves. We could just summon in some imps for that. We look at bind fire imps for 5. We get 5+. I don't know. I feel like those are just way too overpriced. As for national magic, we have quite a lot. Starting us off in Conjuration, all the way up at Conjuration 5. We have our first one here. For Astral 3, 7 gems, we get an Angel of the Host. We'll, of course, look at these when we're done here. At 6, we have the Angelic Choir. We get 3 of these for 15 Astral Pearls, requires an Astral 3. Do note, we don't have native Astral 3s. We might be able to craft our way towards it, but you probably need to think about your Pretender if you really want to break into these things. These are, I believe, the Choir Slave Angels. We have Contact Harbinger for Astral 4, 25 gems. At 7, we have Heavenly Wrath. These are very potent Fury Commanders. 3 Astral and a Fire. Again, not easily able to do it natively, but we might be able to jank our way to it. We also at 7 get Angelic Host. 5 Astral, we definitely not get into that. For 50 gems, very good though. I quite like this one. And at 9, we have a Heavenly Choir for Astral 7, Fire 2, 144 gems. You get 3 Harbingers of the Choir, and you get 9 Angel of the Heavenly Choir. I don't know. That one's pretty darn expensive. Let's look at those units while they're fresh in our mind here. So starting us off, we have the Angel of Heavenly Choir. This is a sacred, has awe, invulnerability, shock resist, fire resist, is a magic being. Chorus Slave. A chorus is like a communion. The two do not cross over. So in theory, our nation could have a choir, a communion, and a Sabbath all going on in the same battle, which is kind of weird. They also have praise. Praise is interesting. Praise acts like a temple check up until you have the praise value. So if we had less dominion than 4, we have a chance of getting the praise to proc and spawning a candle. Not in love with those ones. We have the Harbinger of the Choir. This is the choir leader. Again, sacred, awe, invulnerable 20, has the shock resist, has the fire resist, is a magic being. I don't love the choir ones. The problem here is, okay, now we're in a choir, now what? We don't have any magic. So I'm not super duper in love with those guys. Next, with the Angel of Fury. Very nice. Possible thug chassis here. Has sacred, fear 5, invulnerability 20, and we have full slots. So invulnerable 20 is not quite high enough, but if you combine that with a nice set of armor, you're probably looking at high 20s protection easily, and now you're talking. Comes with shock resist, comes with fire resist, and is a flyer. Also has blood vengeance. So if they do hurt you, then you need to make an MR save versus 15, or you take some of the damage back. Next, we have the Angel of the Host. These are really good. Yeah, you could get these guys at Conjuration 5. It's Astral 3 for 7 pearls. You get 1 of these, but if you can hold out and you can get the Angelic Host, I think you get 5 or 6 of these for 50 gems, and you get a leader with them too. These are sacred, they have awe, they're invulnerable with 15, shock and fire resistance, flyers, of course. Now, the big thing here is, if we look at the protection, Because they have invulnerability and armor, they actually have 23 body protection. Yeah, the head doesn't have any, although it does have the invulnerability. It's too bad we can't convince them to put on helmets, but, you know, again, doesn't want to mess up his hair. Gear-wise, he has a Heavenly Sword, 15 attack for a slashing magic 21 damage that also does Holy Fire against Demon and Undead. Also, wearing Heavenly Plate and has a Heavenly Shield, which is magic gear. Very cool, very thematic. I think even just getting 5 of these guys, hold, attack, rear, is very difficult to deal with. These guys are just absolute beasts. We also can get the Seraph from some of those high-end summons. If you did get that, Fire 4, Air 4, Astral 4, Priest level 4. I don't think most games get there. We have the Harbinger. Harbinger is a Air 3 mage, Priest level 2. Has basically the same stats we've been looking through. It does have praise and is a chorus master. So you could put those lesser angels into a chorus with him. He does have air magic, but they don't. So he's going to fatigue them out. Now, somebody did tell me on one of my other videos that when a choir slave passes out, they leave the choir. If someone could confirm that, then maybe I'm a little more interested. If not, they're just going to die. So not super duper useful there. I think while we're here, we're going to go ahead and look at the other things. From Blood, we have Demon Jesters. Those come in at Blood 1, Bind Harlequin. For 1 Blood Slave, you get 1 of these guys. As an attacker, nothing to write home about. Their main claim to fame is that they have standard. Normally, if you mix demons and humans, they give each other a -1 morale. This is a way that our nation can put them kind of in the same group and be okay. I think we need stronger mechanics that encourage that, because I'm not particularly interested with that. You can see down here, Demon Jesters reduce the morale loss caused by mixing demon forces with humans. They exist. We have Fallen Angels. This is Blood 7. Requires a Blood 4 Astral 1. So we basically don't have that natively. So you're probably looking at a pretender to do it. At 88 Blood Slaves, you do get quite a beast. I will say that. Blood 7, 88 Blood Slaves is pretty affordable. Comes in with 54 HP, Fire 3, Death 3, Blood 3. So you're probably looking at like Soul Vortex, Phoenix Pyre type thing going on here. Has Fear 5, Invulnerability 25, and full slots. So again, you add the gear here. Now you're probably looking at very high 20s, low 30s for protection. Is an actual demon, though. That is a pretty stark weakness, and a magic being, and has flying. Comes in with a dark fire sword. This is a 15 slashing magic damage, armor piercing 2-hander. Also lights people on fire. Very, very cool. Very, very good. Very, very deep in research. 7 blood plus Soul Vortex is what? Alteration 6 or 7 plus Phoenix Power is about this, or Phoenix Pyre is about the same. So that's a long ways to go and a lot of blood hunting to do. But it does give you a different outlet other than just using Astral Pearls, where we can summon in heavy thug / super combatants. So if you can last that long, having these really nasty, hard to deal with, either awe or fear type units, gives you a pretty interesting in game. You just have to get there, which we're not terrible, so I could see it happening. Finally, at Alteration 4, we have some new ones. So these are really cool. All of these are elemental soldiers, essentially. So the air one is Air 2 Astral 1, the earth one is Earth 2 Astral 1, Fire 2 Astral 1, Water 2 Astral 1. What do you get? Well, the fire guy here is essentially a halberdier that's really good with his halberd, has basically the same gear as our troops, has fire resistant, and explodes on death. So we can trade 10 fire gems for these guys. Let's actually back out of here and bring up those spells. So amalgamation of fire and flesh. So for 10 gems, you get 5+ of these. That's not terrible. So every fire you add to their caster, you get an extra guy. I don't hate that. You get it. It's 2 gems each. A little on the pricey side, but I mean, if this was in early age, I'd be salivating. It's just gems are so rare in late age. All these spells are exactly the same. They just use their respective element. Okay, let's finish looking at them. They do have some subtle differences here. So explodes in fire, has fire resistance. The air one is ethereal and has some protection. Also explodes in shock on death, has shock resistance. The water one is amphibious, so just a ring of water breathing, and this guy could get underwater with a leader. That could be kind of nice. Slime on death isn't nearly as good, but it's fine. And then earth, very interesting here, death grab. When they die, they grab people and pull them into a earth meld. Kind of cool. Maybe the lesser one, although he hits like an absolute truck. 12 attack, 26 blunt damage. Pretty darn good. Overall, I think you could do way worse than these if you want to spend some gems. So a really nice actual amount of summoning we can do on this nation. Hopping back into spells, at Evocation 4, we have our old friend Holy Pyre. For Fire 2, we get a okay AoE spell that mainly is for doing armor piercing against undead and demons. So yeah, it's pretty decent. 7+ armor piercing isn't terrible for a fire spell. I think there are better ones out there, but it's fine. You could definitely use it. In Thaumaturgy, at Thom 4, we have a new spell, Mirror Walk. Glamour 1, Astral 1, 1 Glamour gem, and basically just allows that mage to teleport between labs. I don't love that one. I guess it's a way that you could teleport around and ask some astral mages to help support your armies. I'm not sure. I wish this one had a little more utility, but I mean, it's super duper cheap if nothing else. I suppose you could have your pretender designed to use it. Maybe that's actually a little more interesting. If you had an immobile god that could cast this, it's a much cheaper teleport, although it comes at the same research, so mileage may vary on that. Beyond those, other spells we want to think about. I do think we want to think about construction. We have Glamour, we have Air, we have Blood. All of those have relatively cheap access to extra research items. I think those are good. We have a lot of thug potential if you can get into the summons. So what your thug gear, whatever you need in there. Although a lot of our thugs come with at least some of their own gear. That's rather nice. We do fire magic. So of course, summon firepower would be rather nice. Alteration, a little less useful on that. We do have some air stuff, which is nice. We can do the air shields or the mist form stuff. The big one here for me is at 4. It gets you all those amalgamations. Could be pretty darn handy. Evocation, I definitely would think about Fireball just in case you have to use that early, and or being able to do lightning bolts. Make yourself a small little communion and you can spam up a bunch of lightning bolts. That could be relatively useful. Enchant I'm a little less loving. Fire arrows, though, are definitely a thing, and they're still good enough on crossbows to consider that. We also have the other arrows type stuff like True Shot Warriors. Again, our crossbowmen have a 14 precision. This would up them even higher or more. Use them 18. Got some like laser pointers on their crossbows, apparently. Thaumaturgy, again, gives us the communions, which we may need to hop into. Beyond that, also brings in the Battle Fury spells. These give you attack +2 and morale +2. We have a lot of okay medium-ish troops that really would like that extra attack. Helps them get repels, and the morale's not terrible, but it's not great either. So really nice effect here. And of course, you can cast the bigger ones as you go up the line. Finally, I just will circle back to Alteration, the ubiquitous body ethereal. I definitely want to call that out. We don't have shields, and we would certainly like to not die to crossbow fire. So an air shield and a body ethereal makes those guys a heck of a lot more resilient than they would be without any of that. Let's bring all that together. Marignon is a pretty darn decent nation. We have crossbows, we have heavy two-hander weapons, we have decent armor, we have usable magic, we have a very wide mage roster that has blood hunting and communions. We have summons that are actually doable and usable, some better than others, some that requires more pretender thought than others. We have the best fortifications in the game going all the way up to Grand Citadels. And we have bonuses in the form of some pretty nice mages that are coastal recruits only. So where you at, buddy? Got my navigators, royal navigators here. I like these guys actually quite a decent bit. At worst, you can make yourself little communions and do any air or water or astral that you would want to do with these. So I think we're quite incentivized to take coastal forts, as you can see here. I definitely have been working on that. I've got 3 I have built. I got some Amazons that I built on, and then I'm in a war with Agartha. So that's the end of that expansion in this game. But overall, I like that quite a bit. You can see in my capital, I'm just absolutely pouring out sacreds and swordsmen, and I just did a couple rounds of crossbowmen. So one of the better conventional armies in late age, I would say. And they're actually really affordable, surprisingly enough. Like they're pretty good bang for their buck, I would say, on a lot of those troops. You can see I've got some research items going. I've got some site searching guys out there. I built a lot of temples. I was getting flagellants in the early game. Do note, you can easily do this to yourself. This place is losing all of its resources to these 2 grand citadels, so I can no longer recruit flagellants because there's no resources, unfortunately. So just be aware of that. If you're building things that can both reach the same spot, you won't have any resources. So none of these current temples are able to do that. Now I can get them in the fort still, but I can no longer get them outside the fort. So just be aware of that. Maybe you care more or maybe you care less, depending on what your bless is and if you were going to use them anyways. So yeah, just some meta strategy on the map that you need to think about there. Pretender and scale design. Remember, in scales, we get an order limit of +1, a production limit of +1, and a bless bonus points of 3. For chassis, we actually have a pretty decent one, especially in the Titan and Monster realm. Going all the way down to Dom 1, we have the Great Enchantress. I will call her out for having that Gem Gin, which, as everyone knows, I absolutely love. Maybe between her and your native income, you're going to get 2. So maybe you could break into gnomes if you built her that way. Gnomes would give us a little bit better earth access and some extra glamour access. That could be a thing. The Grand Sage, for his ability to give the inspiring researcher, could be nice if you want to beeline something kind of high. Specifically, we have relatively okay researchers. They're relatively efficient, and we could beeline some research bonus items and make them even more efficient. Could be pretty good there. We do have the Master Alchemist, who does get Alchemist 100. Oh boy, get that extra gold. Going up to Dom 2, I will say we have an extra productivity scale. So if you did want to take a dragon or such, that would negate that, but it would mean you could still go up to 2 production. So could be something there. I don't think we need an expander. I think our troops are good enough. Of course, we've got the Virtue. He is definitely someone who can expand. We've got the Hound of Hades. I've shown off a pretty nasty one of him. Thrice-Horned Boar we could do. Manhunters can expand. All right. Those are all right. Other weird things we got. We have the Elder Cyclops. Maybe you just want a Crafter Extraordinaire. We could do a dragon. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but some people swear by them. I have literally no idea why we have Hun Balam. I guess our explorers have made contact with the New World, and we brought back a Hun Balam. Going up to Dom 3, we have a wide chassis here. We have kind of the Greco-Romans and the Celtic ones and the American ones. So quite a wide amount of Titans. I will call out specifically the Matrona of Healing Spring. I'm going to show a build off for her, but we get a cost reduction on her. I think that's pretty interesting. I also think we get one on, yeah, here it is. The Dweewu of War. Again, not one of my favorites, but at least you get the cost reduction here. Also the Great Archon. Again, another cost reduction. I will also call out, I did a Titan of the Crossroads on Middle-Age Ermor. You actually get a lot of research out of these if you start them awake. They gave them a big research penalty, but then you get 3 of them. And with enough magic pathing, you still can do tons and tons and tons of research. Going up to Dom 4, we get the Baphomet, one of the better immobile chassis, in my opinion. For only 130 points, brings in Fire Astral Blood, things that you're probably going to want for sure. Do remember, he is immobile, despite him being a flying, floating head. Innate Spellcaster, he is Spirit Form, unfortunately, Ethereal. Overall, you're bringing this guy to build a cool bless more than his combat abilities. I'm not in love with a lot of these other ones up here. Yeah, maybe you take a blood one if you're gonna try to do the Fallen Angel summons and you make him your one. It's probably gonna be Blood Fountain. Again, we have an extra order scale, so that negates the turmoil, so you can still go order 2. That's kind of nice. And he could be like your fallen angel summoner. Let's take a look at a couple that I built up. All right, first one here is Hothead the Baphomet. He is coming in at Imprisoned. Reason being, he wants to bring in thunder weapons. Thunder weapons are nice because they will affect all of our sacreds pretty well. We have multiple attacks on the flagellants. We have summons that can use it. Our crossbows can benefit from it. Our halberdier guys can benefit from it. But at the same time, I'm bringing in a lot of non-awake, non-incarnate blesses. So double attack skill with the thought that this is really, really going to ensure that A, we're hitting, and B, that we are able to repel really, really well. That's going to tie into being able to proc Blood Surge. Blood Surge, again, is just a stupid amount of stats for what you get. So if you proc Blood Surge, that would give us 5 attack, some extra strength and defense and reinvigoration. And then if we're going to mix in the flagellants, then we also have the Righteous Wrath. Again, just a stupid amount of stats. So mixing in some of our heavier troops with some flagellants to have them die to proc Righteous Wrath, that is 3 attack, 3 attack, and 2 attack. So plus 8 attack on top of that, 6 strength, plus the morale, plus the reinvigoration, plus the defense. Absolutely ridiculous. And then the thunder weapons bring in some elemental damage, the ability to maybe do some stuns. Also work really well on our crossbows that for whatever reason we feel that we need the sacred crossbows, we could do it there. You could totally cut out this thunder weapon. You could totally do that. It's just very expensive. One other option that you might do here is drop the thunder weapons and bring in air shield. It would be slightly cheaper, and the air shield would help us out a ton too. I may even go that route. Next, I have Shadebringer. Shadebringer is interesting. This is kind of my meme build. He is made to buff our crossbows and specifically our sacred crossbows, although he works well for the others too. He brings in flaming weapons and thunder weapons and some more precision. So just a ton of weapon blesses for our crossbowmen. I think we would get our sacred ones and we would supplement them with the normal. So he would also be able to cast Wind Guide and flaming arrows for them. I like this guy quite a bit, actually. We've used him before. He actually can help expansion parties relatively safely. Stay in your domain for sure, but casting some early magic to help them out. I don't think I would go this route, but I wanted to at least have one in there for the crossbows. Finally, I have It's Complicated, the Matrona of the Healing Spring. We have some pretty good but very old mages that are cap onlys. She starts with a site that will give you a spring of healing in your capital. So even if she comes in dormant or imprisoned, you'll start the game with that. She herself is a healer. On her, I tried Quickness, Blur, and Heroism. She's only dormant, so you only have to wait that 1 year. The Quickness is really good on the flagellants because they already have 2 attacks. So now every one of them has 4. So now you're getting 12 attacks per square of flagellants. The Blur and the Heroism, Blur just helps all of them, and the Heroism helps our sturdier guys a little bit more. Quickness is nice on our thuggy summons too, because I don't believe any of those have water, so they can't quickness themselves, and this is a way that we can. Remember that Quickness also gives you 2 attack and 2 defense. So just a lot of stats here, essentially. Would make quite good thugs, I would say, out of here, although no healing available. Still has some okay scales. I'm not in love with this. This Quickness, man, is just so expensive. Overall of them, I did like Hothead the best, although I'm strongly leaning towards dropping the thunder weapons and switching that over to an air shield. In conclusion, Late Age Marignon is a very fun nation. They can do blood. They have a little bit of unique blood, but generally speaking, they're going to probably be looking at imps and devils, things like that to summon in. We don't have super duper high blood mages, even though we have good access to lower end ones. We have some good breadth of mages, giving us several different strategies we can pursue. We have good efficient crossbows. We have good, I'm going to call them heavy infantry with good two-handed weapons. We have a distinct weakness against crossbow fire that we're going to need to avoid or solve somehow. We have really good infrastructure. Overall, very fun nation. I would say it's very solidly in the upper side of late age nations. Be really curious to see what people prefer for their sacreds. As cool as the range sacreds are, I never feel you can get the critical mass that you really need to make those a thing. So nice to have the option here, but still have some other good options. We also have a non-cap only sacred recruitment in the flagellants and the summons. Again, just something I really like and enjoy quite a bit. I didn't really use it too much in this game, but sailing, especially as a human and not an AI, can be incredibly powerful. Moving from here, it's only 1, 2, 3. So I can move from here to here relatively easy. Do I have someone who I can't show it on him, but we can sail down coasts, and sometimes you can get like really surprising. That's, yeah. So he's moving here and then sailing across. But yeah, you can get some really weird and unexpected attack angles. You also can get away where maybe you would get trapped by an enemy army and you could somehow sail to safety, which can be rather nice. Overall, I think it's a well-designed nation, has plenty of tools. I don't know if they need those 3 bonus bless points. I'm thinking we recently did Late Age Relay. They could definitely use some help. Why is this nation still get that, even though he has all the toys? So interesting there, if nothing else. So let me know what your comments and thoughts are on this one. Always love to hear that. Beyond that, thank you everyone for hanging out and watching it and your comments. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed, I hope I've earned your subscription. Consider becoming a member or checking out the Patreon and supporting the channel. That really helps me out and allows me to get other things to test out on the channel, upgrade equipment, and the like. All right, guys, get out there and do some exploration sailing, and I'll see you in Marignon. Babble out.